I'm sorry. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Laura Smith, your co-host here at Senior Moments and at your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And we are here talking to Curtis Woods, and we're continuing our discussion on pre-planning.
Yes, and pre-planning can be as detailed or as general as a person would prefer. Some people would like to leave some of the opportunities to do additional services for family members later. Excuse me. And then some families or some people would prefer to have everything planned out so there's no thoughts to it. So, for example, a person may say, I want to be cremated, but they don't want to plan the actual funeral itself or talk about if it's a memorial or anything of that sort. So if a person would prefer, they can come in and prearrange their cremation because they know they want that portion to be done, and prearrange a burial space or a permanent placement for the cremated remains afterwards. We have a nice cremation garden. We have ground burials. We have mausoleum property also. Many different selections throughout our park. So that's kind of a little bit about pre-arrangements.
Do you have payment plans? If I were to come in and say, I don't want to put this on my credit card,
right,
but I'd like to get it, paid off within the next few years.
Right. Yeah,
and do you lock into a price that way, or?
You lock into a price. We do have payment plans, and actually our prearranged funeral is funded by an insurance type of vehicle, which means that once you start making payments, if you were to, let's say, need the services before the payments are complete, there's an opportunity where the remaining balance will be forgiven by that investment vehicle that we use
as
for
a type of insurance
yes,
that
like
you
a
can
type
purchase.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. So let's say you decide you want to have a really extravagant funeral and you have a nice casket and floral arrangements and everything, all the bells and whistles, including catering, which we do now. A person can prearrange all those items, place them on one of our insurance-funded type of vehicles, and make their regular payments. And if they happen to need it before their payments are complete, in most cases, the difference is forgiven also. So that can be another opportunity for people to consider when they are thinking about doing pre-arrangements. We like to say that funeral and cemetery pre-planning complement what you already have for life insurance. The life insurance that you currently have should be what it's designed for the living, to pay off credit card bills or any kind of car note, or maybe a mortgage or two, or a payment on the mortgage. Whereas the funeral can be separate, and you don't have to come to my location and drain your life insurance policy for these types of services.
What's involved, Curtis, if somebody passes away? What kind of, is there any kind of documentation that people would need?
Yes, there, especially for folks that are veterans, there are certain documentations that are going to be required. But the first thing that we do with every family is first kind of get them to kind of gather and just realize the magnitude of their loss, acknowledge that, and obviously offer our condolence. As far as paperwork goes, if you are a honorably discharged veteran, we'll need their DD-214, which is basically their formal discharge paper, and that will allow them for several free services through the government, and we can kind of help them with that also. For anyone else, if you have any sort of durable power of attorney or healthcare directive and things of that sort, that will be needed for the person to have the right to make the decisions for you. And in most cases, folks that don't know, that's okay. Just come in and have the conversation, and our professional staff will kind of walk them through the steps on what's needed, what's required. If they have it, great. If they don't, we can reschedule a meeting or come out to visit you to make it that much easier for you.
Do you have like a checklist that people could ask you for or ask you about if they need things like birth certificates, marriage
Yes.
licenses, things like that?
Actually, we do. We have a very thorough checklist that we give to folks when they call us, when they come in for their first appointment. We can either hand them that checklist. A lot of times nowadays we're emailing them the checklist in advance so they can come prepared for that one meeting. And then we even have booklets and pamphlets to kind of go into further details of another checklist that tells you after a person passes, there's several things that need to be done and closed. You have to notify the government that this person has passed and close out their social security number. You may not know, but after a person passed, you have to also contact the Department of Motor Vehicles and have their license turned off also. So there's several things along the way. Reminds you of checking accounts and other policies and insurance. So when you're asking about checklists, yes, we have one in advance for preparing the actual services, but then we have a second checklist for families to remind them of things to follow up after the services.
Would we be able to get contact information for you at the end of the show so that our listeners would be able to get that?
For sure. We have, I'll give you the contact information at the end of the show. We have a planning guide also that we can have a staff member come out and present to you. The planning guide is very thorough. It talks about all the questions in advance so that when the passing happens, all you do is bring this booklet to us and everything is spelled out. No fund needed, and it's actually a free planning guide that we can provide to anyone interested.
My name is Joel Green. We're here along with Curtis Woods, Laura Smith. We're talking to members of the Santa Clarita Valley Senior Resource Alliance. We're talking about some of the specialties that we represent. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more with Curtis Woods and also with Laura Smith. We're going to ask Curtis about what happens if me as an adult child, I don't want to talk about this with my parents. Curtis will tell us what you and I should do and learn from this. You're listening to AM 1220 KHTS, your hometown station.
Hello, and we're back. I'm Laura Smith. You're listening to Senior Moments, your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, and we're here talking to Curtis Woods, continuing our conversation. Welcome back.
Thank you. And Joel was just pointing out that at times when a person is prepared to kind of talk and have that conversation, their adult children may not be ready to participate with those questions. We have that situation happen a lot. A lot of times people or couples even, are more comfortable with talking about their future plans, whereas their children may say, no, mom, no, dad, let's not even throw that out of your mind. And unfortunately, that could be more detrimental in the future when you don't know the answers to those questions, when you need the answers to those questions. So what we suggest is that when there is an adult, when you're the adult child and your parents want to have that conversation, if you're not comfortable with it, trust in our professionals, allow them to come in and have that conversation and at least make the plans. If you have maybe more decision over the money that they spend, that's fine, but at least allow us to help gather the questions and answers for you on your behalf. It's a huge responsibility for us as professionals, but then also for the adult children to help them make that decision also.
Would that include gathering the information that we talked about earlier?
Yes, it would include gathering life insurance policies, checking accounts, savings accounts, anything else, IRAs, investment, stock portfolios, anything to that set. It'll be difficult to find those in the future if you don't ask the questions today. So that's how those conversations come along.
Is that kind of like qualifying for something, or do you have to go through, especially if you're going to get the insurance that you discussed earlier, do you have to go through a qualifying process?
Yes, actually, in our profession, it's highly regulated. So we have several licensed professionals at my location. And when we do talk about insurance-funded vehicles, each of those staff members also have an insurance license. So we can't just hire someone up and start writing insurance policies. We have to be accepted and accredited through the state and get those licenses in place prior to those conversations. So,
as do I, and Joel.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's correct. Laura, you're a senior real estate professional, so what does that mean?
Well, a seniors real estate specialist is a designation from the National Association of Realtors. I'm a real estate agent, and with my license, and any real estate agent can get a designation. There's different designations to choose. They can get them all or choose one, and I was very interested in getting the Seniors Real Estate Specialist, SRES designation, which entailed that I take special courses, that I pass those courses, that I pay the money. Annually, I have to keep that up, and I take webinars, participate in webinars and other educational programs to keep me updated in the field. But basically, what I'm required to do as an SRES is to provide more than just real estate services.
Okay.
Like
what?
Well, when you have a senior citizen and they need to move, I need to be able to work with their adult children, their family caregivers, and I need to give them resources beyond just being able to sell their home. I need to discuss with them how we're going to box up their materials, their home goods. If they're going to be downsizing, perhaps maybe we're going to have an estate sale. I can help them find professionals for that. I can help them find professionals to clean up their home in every aspect that they need. If they need in-home care and where they're moving to, we have those resources, and that's what's so great about being part of the Senior Resource Alliance. It's almost it's required for me to have these resources. So belonging to this group is just perfect, because that gives me the resources to provide them as well. And it is required that I do that. And it is part, like I said, of the National Association of Realtors, so we are bound by that code of ethics as well in every aspect.
And it sounds like that designation creates more work or gives you more responsibility, but it also creates a closer relationship with that person that you're working with. I can imagine someone coming in the home and actually boxing and helping me move and doing more than just signing on a line. Probably you build a much closer relationship with those folks. That's probably...
Oh, absolutely, I do. I become quite involved with my clients and their clients, the adult children, everybody involved. I become very close, and that's why I enjoy being with seniors. I love hearing stories. I can hear them all day long. I can spend, when I work with a senior citizen, I block out a few hours as opposed to just, the 20 minutes that you need with somebody else, perhaps, because... you got to hear the stories.
And you know what? They like to take their time. Nowadays, everybody's so quick, fast, hurry, let's go, go, go. But when you work with local seniors, sometimes they like to just take time, enjoy the moment, and tell a story. That's good, isn't it?
And to be able to understand the process.
Right.
Which can be confusing, and you need to have the patience for that. And I felt like I could do that. That's why I chose that direction in my career.
Sounds...
We're going to take a break. My name is Joel Green, along with Curtis Woods and Laura Smith. When we come back after the break, we're going to talk to Laura a little bit more about being a senior real estate specialist, what that means, and how you out there can benefit from this kind of experience. You're listening to AM 1220 KHTS. See you on the other side of the break.